Mr. Lieu.
Thank you, Chairman Nadler. Thank you, Secretary Mayorkas, for your distinguished public service. An American president told the American people that all their problems were because of the southern border. Sounded just like my colleague from Colorado, that all your problems are because of the southern border. He railed against the border. He tried to close it. He talked about the drugs at the border. That American president was Richard Nixon. It's 1969, and he launched Operation Intercept to shut down virtually the southern border. And after 3 weeks, he gave up. He failed. His policies failed to stop the migrants coming to the United States. And so did the policies of every other president. President Ford, Carter, Reagan, George W. Bush, Clinton, George H.W. Bush, Obama, and Trump. In fact, under the Trump administration, migrant apprehensions increased to 851,000 in May of 2019, more than double the year before. 144,000 migrant encounters occurred in May of 2019. So my question to you is, it's true, isn't it, that the issues at the southern border have been there for more than half a century?
That is true, Congressman.
For my Republican colleagues to somehow say this is a new problem is just hogwash. So let's talk about one of the more ineffective solutions, which is the wall. The former president said Mexico would pay for the wall. Did Mexico pay for the wall?
No, it did not.
Okay. The southern border is approximately 1,933 miles long. Is that correct?
Approximately, yes.
And in 4 years, all the former president managed to do was build approximately 455 miles, of which only 49 were in places where there weren't already physical barriers. Is that correct?
I'm not familiar, Congressman, with the precise amount of mileage that was built, but it certainly didn't expand the entire territory of the southern border, nor is it the most effective means of securing.
In fact, public reporting is that there has been over 3,000 times this wall was sawed by people trying to cross. Isn't that right?
I have read a report that estimates that number of attempted incursions.
And the overwhelming majority of this wall was built in places where there already was a previous physical barrier. Isn't that right?
I believe so, Congressman.
Thank you. And by my calculation, the former president in 4 years only built new barriers in 2.5% of our entire southern border. So let me just tell you a story about why I think every administration has had problems with migrant flow. A few weeks ago, I met with a Colombian refugee, and she left Colombia, and I asked why she left. She said narco traffickers killed her father. And the line I kept remembering was, she just wanted the body back. They just wanted her father's body so they could give him a proper burial. So her brother negotiated with these bad people to get the body. And when the brother showed up, they killed him. And then they went after her husband and killed her husband. And then she fled with her 3 children. If any of us were in that situation, we would flee too. Migrant flow is a very complicated issue. And to really solve this, you would need comprehensive immigration reform. And so let me ask you, do you agree that if we really want to solve the problems at the southern border, we would need comprehensive immigration reform?
We would, Congressman, need legislation indeed to fix what has long been a broken immigration system, not just with respect to the southern border, but in many, many regards.
I'm pleased that Bloomberg has reported that there is a bipartisan group of senators meeting, including Senator Tom Tillis and Democrats, talking about bipartisan legislation to try to address the real issues facing the southern border. So let me ask you, what would some of those pieces of legislation look like that you would like to see?
So there are many pieces that have been discussed and that I support. One, of course, fundamental, is a path to citizenship. We have approximately 11 to 12 million undocumented individuals here in the United States. Programs that recognize immigrants' contributions to the prosperity of our nation, to fix the path for farm workers to citizenship, to provide citizenship for the dreamers, the young children who really have known no other country but America, who've been on our front lines and contributed to our communities in so many different regards, whether it's in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, or have taught our children or worked in our faith-based institutions, to recognize the contributions of individuals who have made this country everything that it can and should be.
Thank you, and I yield back.